It's how a bush pilot would land on a little lake surrounded by tall trees where you can't make a nice gradual descent. So he cuts right down there and then will hang out over the water and get to a point about here where he can't see it. So he's going to use the horizon and a whole lot of experience to finish this off. And he one-foots it a little bit, but you know, this is gymnastics. If he can walk away from it, it's a 10. So we're not going to give him any deductions, are we? And that's our friend Steve back on the Chena River. Because he's our friend, we get to visit with him on the radio and kind of see how everything went out there today. We're off of Discovery 3. How do you hear us, Steve?
Good morning. Hear you loud and clear.
Good to see you over there again, and seems like it should be a pretty nice morning for flying. Not much in the way of wind or anything down here. What about above the trees?
Pretty calm air this morning. Beautiful out.
All right, well, and even if it wasn't, you've flown in just about everything that Alaska can throw at us, so let's start.
With these little guys, starts the day they're born, because we're going to be working our whole lives together, and so it's important that we start that trust and be trusted relationship as soon as we can. So the day they're born, what we do is we pick up each puppy, we hold them in our hands, and even though their eyes aren't open for the first 10 days of their lives, they already they have a highly developed sense of smell, and they can also associate the feeling of comfort and security being held. They associate it with us. So by the time they can run around a little bit like these guys are doing, they already know us and trust us and want to go on adventures, which is really a perfect opportunity for us to help them develop self-confidence, which we do, and we do that by asking them to overcome obstacles. Now today they're goofing off on the dock, maybe learning how to jump from one side to the other. But the very first thing they learn at the kennel is how to go across a log. Now what we do is we have them on one side, we encourage them to make it across. If they can't do it and they're little guys, well then we help them across. But the day comes when they do it with ease and then they... But the final thing we see with these guys that assures that it's time to go is something called the instinct to pull, and that's what you're seeing right now. And what that is the love, joy, and desire that each one of these dogs have to run as part of the team pulling a sled down the trail. But I think we're going to say this. If we had dogs, we had power. And so I've had to modify the four-wheeler that we use in the summer instead of the sled. I've had to modify it in a couple ways to accommodate all that power. Now, number one, I've removed the AC. You can probably see my hand goes through there. We have no engine because I don't need more power. But I do need to be able to slow it down a bit, so I've reinforced the brakes on it so we can have control when we go around corners and be like play crack and whip with me. But the final thing is, when you're hooking up a team, whether it's summer or winter with a sled, always make sure you're tied down to an anchor that's in the ground, or these guys will be out of here before you're ready to go. So I'm going to take off as soon as we get that last dog in the team, and I'm going to go around this lake, you see back here. Now I have a radio, so I'll give them a call from the other side and let you know how it's going. Should be pretty fun, it looks like, today.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just tragic they're not eager to get going, is it? But you watch what happens now. As soon as that last dog is hitched up, and he gives the command, all that noise and jumping will stop. And they will lean in. This is what they love doing. And look, 17-year-old Stego is going out there with them. Don't worry though, they get their chance. Every day, every dog exercises, and that's why they are so healthy and why they live so long. Stego said, okay, that's enough. I did my thing. I'm coming home. Granted lived to be 17 and a half, by the way. Ran over 41,000 miles. Now look to the left.
Our side of the lake. And these guys are flying right now. They're going, well, my speedometer says they're going 20 miles an hour. They're kicking up dust and dirt. And that's because they've got the physical ability and they also have the talent to run as part of the team, pulling equally. Because the sled, or because the floor...
In the winter, the bottom of these shafts, they have a loaded ore car, wheelbarrow. Lowering one of these iron muck buckets or kibbles down the shaft, they don't load the ore cars into these buckets. Hoist the buckets back up, Run them along here, like you see, all the way up to that pole, called the gen pole. Eventually, the buckets would catch, swivel, stretch out, and dump their load. And they let them come coasting back down into these two, bang into these logs here and be reset for the next load. Just about something anyway, you get the picture. Like that. Medium-sized drift mining operation, where there'd really only be, say, 2 to maybe 4 men down there actually digging. Another 2 to 4 hauling the material to and from the bottoms of these shafts here. And another 2 to 4 men up top stockpiling the material, keeping the fires burning, the equipment running, and so on. Now, it's important to point out to everybody so you understand that the placer and drift miners of that era would only dig in the winter time. That's for safety purposes. Again, we're talking about dealing with frozen permafrost here. If it's allowed to warm up and thaw out, it essentially just turns into a bunch of mud. You got a great risk. $21 an ounce. So these guys are pretty much just going after all the big stuff. The large nuggets and
San Francisco. Once there, they assembled her in San Francisco Bay. Then they took her completely apart, loaded all the parts that made up this dredge onto steamships, and barged her all the way up to Seward, Alaska. Once in Seward, they transferred that load over to the Alaska Railroad, and it took 114 flat cars to move all the parts that made up this dredge by rail from Seward up to Fairbanks. Once she got into Fairbanks, they changed hands. Pour the entire contents into the poke into the pan, then set the poke aside. The crew will pick that up in a bit. With your pan in hand, scoop into that water trough, fill your pan with water. Start shaking it side to side. Shake it aggressively so you can see or hear it moving, and tilt the pan away from you. This is the angle you want to keep your pan all through the panning process. Gold is almost 20 times heavier than water, so this tilt to the pan assists in concentrating the gold to right here, the deepest part of the pan. Next, with water in your pan, take a look at the surface. You're going to see some larger stones that are shaken to the top. Lightly drag those off, back towards you, rinse them in the pan, and sweep them out. Or throw them in your neighbor's pan, then they're out of yours. No rock fights, kids. Get some more water, keeping your pan tilted away from you, shaking it so you can see or hear it moving. The next step is to stop shaking, pour the water out, hold the angle the water left the pan, then lightly dip in the pan or the trough and lift up. You'll see a top layer slip off the face of that pay pile. Grab more water, shaking, tilting, concentrating the gold. You'll be moving this layer after layer down to the gold. So stop shaking again, pour the water out, hold that angle, lightly dip in and lift up. Take a couple more layers off. If you do see some more of the larger stones, do take time to drag those back. Rinse them in the pan. and sweep them out. Get them out of the way of the gold. More water, more tilting, more shaking. Now imagine you're wanting to see some gold. We're just about there. I'm going to take some more layers off, light and easy, shaking it in between, stopping, pouring, dipping and lifting. I like to work this down to where it's about a healthy tablespoon of pay dirt. Then you change how you move your water, and this is just as easy. You roll the water like it's a marble up and over the pay and let it pull down. And then reverse that. Go back the other way and let the water pull that off. It's mostly mica and sand. I'm seeing color. The old timers called that a flash in the pan. And if they didn't get any gold, they said it just didn't pan out. Get the sand off the exposed gold, rinse it out of the pan, and there you have it. Nice clean gold that we call brand new money. But the best thing of all, I think, is it's going to be gold that you all panned yourself right here.
Almost there. Y ahora la foto también.